director Olivia Wilde. And writer and producer Katie Silberman. Hey you guys.
Hey.
We're on stage. Thank you for making a great film. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for watching it.
There's so much to talk about in this film, but I want to start right off with your two leads and the casting. They are so incredible together. And can you just talk about, when they got on board, how you brought them on, and what made you convinced that they were the two?
Sure. Well, Caitlin Deaver was attached when I came on. She had been attached for 2 years at that point because the project had existed since 2009 when it was on the blacklist. And she had been attached since, I think, 2014. Yeah.
Wow.
And she, for good reason, she was the perfect Amy. And it was one of the reasons I was so excited to pitch on the film because I was a real fan of Caitlin's from Short Term 12 and so many of her projects. I just thought she's so special. And so it became a matter of discovering who her Molly would be. And I was just mad for Beanie Feldstein. I just knew she had that perfect combination of warmth and intelligence and humor. I mean, she's funny in her bones and smart in her brain, behind her eyes. It's not something you can fake. But I had no way of knowing what their chemistry would be like. So the first time, I kind of realized when I introduced them that I had been imagining them as the perfect pair for over a year at that point, but had never seen them in the same room. And we got really lucky that they found that they loved.
So did you have a first meeting with them where did you do kind of a traditional audition process or reading different pairs, or did you just get them together to kind of see?
I met them individually. Beanie and I were actually both in New York on doing different shows on Broadway. She was in Hello Dolly and I was in 1984, so we were in very different headspaces. And we met in between shows on a Saturday, and I asked her to play Molly, and she was kind of gobsmacked. She couldn't, but to me it was so perfect. I just knew I didn't need her to audition. I knew she was perfect. The rest of the cast, I give all the credit to Allison Jones, who is of course a genius. And that was a really fun process of diving in and reading literally everyone on the planet.
I mean, the cast is incredible. You create that high school world so unbelievably well. Can you talk a bit, but backing up actually, I wanted to say you mentioned the script came before your involvement.
Yeah.
And what was the history of how did it come to you, and when did you get involved, Katie?
Well, it came to me, I guess in 2016. I lost all track of time. I think it was either 2016 or late 2015. Producer Jessica Elbaum of Gloria Sanchez, she and I were producing a comedy half-hour series together. We were driving around town pitching it. And I was making music videos at the time, and she said, what's your first feature going to be? And I was like, I don't know, I think it has to be something I write. And I was working on something that was just not working, and she said, I just have this feeling you should read Booksmart. She had been involved since it was at Annapurna. They brought Gloria Sanchez in as a female comedy producer presence, and she had an instinct about me, which I'm very lucky that she did. And I pitched on it, and knew that the script was the core of it was a really great idea, but it needed a reimagining. And so once I, to my complete shock, got the gig, I said we have to find the most brilliant writer in the world to update this thing and make it really, really special. And that's when I met Katie.
Yeah, so that was fall of 2017. And I got an email saying there was a project at Annapurna and Gloria Sanchez that Olivia Wilde was going to direct, and I chucked my laptop out the window because that's a trap. It's too good. And it was a project that I've been aware of for a while. I think there are sometimes these projects that have been around for, at that time it had been about almost 10 years, and it was an idea and kind of like a concept that people wanted to make, and they were attempting to do it in different iterations. And there was a first iteration in 2009, and then there was a second iteration, and in both instances, there was an excitement for the possibility to make a story about two two smart high school girls, two smart best friends in high school, which was exciting, but I think that it was different attempts in different periods of time as to what you could do with a story about two young smart women. And when I got this call, I was lucky because Olivia had the directing job at that point, and she had such an unbelievably clear vision and enthusiasm and excitement for the kind of movie that she was going to make, the kind of high school story she was going to tell. She described it as a generational anthem from the beginning. That's what its possibility was, and that was incredibly inspiring and contagious in its own way. And I had wanted to work on a high school comedy for a long time because I think the best ones are timeless and timely. Like the best ones are very reflective of the generation that they're talking about, the young people that they're talking about, but the stories and the arcs and the themes are timeless, and so the opportunity to try and do that with brilliant young women was very, very exciting.
So you were doing a rewrite in 2017, and then when did
She rewrote the entire script, which was basically a page one full rewrite in 4 months.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah, but I mean, it also, Olivia had so many ideas. It was a very collaborative process in the most lucky, brilliant way, because she had so many, not just ideas, but like, she was like, there's gonna be a Barbie sequence, and then you find a way to put it in. And so it was a wonderfully, it was just the most rewarding experience of my whole life, because it's not, sometimes, as I'm sure many people here know, 4 months of writing in a room, you come out and it's like The Shining, and you're like, where have I been? And you're alone in your room for so long, and this was really, it was like making a movie the whole time, which is it's a very different process and experience, and it was so much fun.
So when you came through with the Barbie, what was the idea? Was it just?
I wanted to, first of all, I love stop motion animation and I love miniatures, and the concept was something I had been interested in for a while, and I had been wondering what I could do with it. I just love the idea that Barbie suddenly becomes self-aware about her lack of genitals, and I hope she freak out, and it's like the awakening of Barbie. But for this story, I realized when we knew we wanted the girls to go on several different adventures, and that we wanted them to be taken completely out of their element, and we wanted a kind of fresh spin on the accidental drug trip moment, and I thought, what would be the worst possible nightmare for two young, ardent feminists? It would be becoming the literal physical manifestation of everything that's wrong with patriarchy. And then what would make that even worse is if one of them started to like him. And I just, we worked on the concept for the drug trip for a long time. At one point it was like a full-on Indiana Jones action sequence, which I still think would really work. And then we kind of whittled it down, but it was a fascinating process. I never made stop motion before, and we worked with this really great company out of Portland called Shadow Machine. But it was very, very challenging and time consuming, and so worth it. I mean, to me, I felt like it was essential. I wanted the film to take real kind of tonal risks. I wanted it to be bold. I wanted it to feel as intense and unpredictable as it feels when you're young and you do allow yourself to go on an adventure and you're just completely out of your element. So I wanted the audience to feel like, what the fuck is happening? And then the same goes kind of for like the dance fantasy sequence that Molly has. That I really love the idea of, again, taking us out of our kind of tonal element and making a left turn and showing the side of a character that we couldn't possibly show without going inside her mind in that way. And I love the idea that this guarded, very strong woman is, of course, the most romantic one in the room.
I mean, that's something that it runs throughout the entire film, and with all the characters, is everybody is not what you expect them to be, or what they expect each other to be. I mean, I love that throughout the film. I mean, Jared, when he reveals himself, it's this great moment.
Yeah.
All of them, and to each other.
Yeah, we really wanted that to be the kind of game of the story, that the audience would themselves be judgmental the way that we all can be, and certainly were in high school. And then hopefully by the end we realize, oh, there's complexity and nuance in each of us, and that's the journey the girls are going on, and hopefully we've gone on it with them.
Yeah, we talked about how high school and film are kind of the two places where you jump to archetype and stereotype most easily. Like in high school, it's so easy to say that's the jock, that's the dork, that's the theater kid. It's as easy in the beginning of a movie to try and identify all those people that way. So had the advantage of kind of an audience being where Molly is and assuming that she knows everything about them and being able to feel that throughout.
Another thing that struck me watching the film was how much on-screen diversity there is. So it feels like the real world. It feels like you have everybody in that school, and there's so many gay and lesbian characters in unexpected, kind of just presented almost in an offhand manner. Was that on the page? Was that something that you scripted, or was that more in the casting?
Sort of a combination. I mean, we really, in terms of diversity, that wasn't on the page. That was because it turns out when you see all actors and when you just hire the best people, you actually end up with a really representative set. The problem is people don't look at everyone. And, you know, if we keep drawing from the same pool, it just becomes this recycled pot of, you know, inspiration. There's nothing new if you don't actually take a step further, but that's why Allison Jones is one of the best, and that's what was so fun about this process. I mean, there are several actors who haven't been in any movies before. So, in a way, in order for casts to become more diverse and representative, and the same goes for crew, behind the camera crew, you have to look beyond the resume. You have to hire people based on their talent, their skills, their ideas, their passion. If we keep hiring based on resume, we will just continue this paradigm and everything will just be the same as it's always been. To break the mold, we have to change the way we hire people. So there's so many actors that, you know, I think maybe you could be a little bit nervous to hire an actor who's never been on a film set, who has a pretty sizable role. But I found that to be so exciting. You know, for example, Victoria Ruesca, who plays Ryan, she's a professional skateboarder, never acted before, but her essence is so perfect and she's so incredibly fascinating. And yes, so that's an example where we rewrote it for her. I mean, you had written it as a very strong, confident skater, very sweet person, and she is all those things, but then the nuance was really based on her essence. Nico Varaga, who plays Tanner, is also a professional skater. They came from the same skate crew and they'd never been in a movie. And we really just kind of loved that he has that buoyancy, that confidence, that sort of that sort of irresistible confidence of youth that is so kind of terrifying to young women, or at least it was to me in high school. We're like, how do they just feel so confident? It's just like so free, and he kind of embodied that completely. But you know, Austin Crute, who plays Alan, was a student at NYU while we were shooting the movie, and in fact, when we were shooting that theater party scene, he was trying desperately to finish his thesis.
He was literally finishing his thesis in that clamshell that he was sitting in that shot. Like when we were rolling, he was typing, and then he like tossed his computer to the side.
But it felt like such an opportunity to bring all this new talent into the fold, and they earned it. I mean, they were the best actors who auditioned, and I just think the casting directors who really go out and discover. I mean, when I first came to LA, I worked for Mally Finn, who was one of the best casting directors, and that was her MO. She, you know, famously when she cast the client, she was searching for young kids to play like the young punk kid star of the film, and a police officer came into her office one day and said, "Hey, I noticed that you have all these kind of punk kids coming in here. I pick up this kid like once a week. I think he's the kind of kid you're looking for." He's a real punk. So we brought in Brad Renfro, who, and I used to watch because like I was just a lowly assistant, so I had lots of time to sit and watch audition tapes of The Greatest Ever. And he, at 10 years old, chain smoked through his audition and had so much raw talent. But Mally was the one who said, he's the one, we all have to work harder to make the movie fit him because he's that special. And I was really inspired by that. So in a different way for Booksmart, that was the process. It was like we are finding these very special people and we can mold our film a little bit to fit them.
So I'd love to hear you talk about, as a director, in this film you have a lot of really chaotic scenes with a lot of kids, teenagers. What kind of environment did you try and create on the set? How did you, in those scenes where you've got all these kids running around, how do you handle that as a director, and what's the mood on the set that you're creating?
Well, I think the most important thing for any set is to somehow create a cohesive energy, some sort of shared rhythm. And, you know, film sets feel like construction sites. They are hectic and loud and not at all conducive to relaxation and vulnerability. They're so scary. I mean, it's nearly impossible for actors to relax on most sets. And I wanted to create an environment where they could feel that there wasn't too much distance between the kind of energy we were showing on screen and what they were actually feeling in real life. So I played a lot of music. I created an environment where I demanded a kind of equality between all departments and the cast themselves. You know, I wanted to just get rid of this bullshit that the cast is somehow in a class above the crew. I think that causes a lot of problems on film sets and in performance. It's very hard to relax when you feel somehow like this is not a true collaboration, and there's a separation between the cast and the crew. I think in theater it's very different, but I found in my years on film sets, gosh, if we could only feel more of a connection and more of an understanding, a deeper understanding of what everyone's doing, I think that would really help. So it's a matter of setting that bar of mutual respect and support, playing music, good snacks, we believe in lunch, and then having just creating an environment which kind of asks the actors to continue participating even when they weren't on film. I mean, it was easy when we didn't have enough money to give them nice trailers anyway, but I encouraged them never to go back to their trailers. You know, the thing that I have found really frustrating as an actor is that isolation of being an actor when you're activated for very short periods of time. You're working, and then you go back to your trailer and wait, and then come back, and it's all very kind of cold and uneven and so exhausting in an unnecessary way. The whole idea of hurry up and wait that we've kind of accepted, like how about hurry up and work? There's always something to do or create. When we had actors who were kind of hanging around on set, we wrote extra scenes for them. We said, you're here, let's shoot something in the corner, we might use it. So I think that giving everyone also like creative license and agency, you know, involving everyone, every department, I mean, telling the cops, what do you think the story's about? Let's really, you know, understand this on the same level so that you can come up with ideas and feel excited, not just like you're at work doing what I say. All those things seem to fit together.
I'll also say as a totally neutral observer that it comes from the top down. When your director and your leader is the most prepared and also the most excited to be on set every day and sets a tone that's like she's done her homework and she's reminding everyone how lucky we are to be making a movie, which is really fun, even when it's 4 weeks of nights in a casino. That vibe is very hard to fight when the person at the top and the leader is setting that tone, and that made it feel like a party the whole time. Like really, kids, they're not that much younger than us. They would come to set when they were in because they wanted to be around the vibe that she had created and how much fun we're all having. And that's something I've never experienced before.
So what were the basics of the production? You shot in LA for, how long was the shoot?
26 days.
26 days.
Including a pre-shoot day, so really 25 days.
And did you have any rehearsal time for the cast?
Yes, I mean, I made it happen anytime we could. We also rehearsed when we could on location, so which really meant just like bringing actors on the third scout and saying, meet us at this apartment, this is gonna be your apartment, sit in this room, feel it out, and then have a meeting with their production designer, Katie Silberman, who's incredible, and her team, and have some ownership over the design of your character's room, feel out this space. But that was all thanks to our tremendous AD, Scott Robertson, who's really, truly one of the best in the business. He'd also just worked with Inarritu. He had done The Revenant. So anytime anything became kind of tricky, I was like, this is better than The Revenant. but yeah, the rehearsal period was so essential. And I just made it happen. I mean, I think oftentimes you'll hear from an actor's representative like, oh, they're available for 1 day before you shoot. And it was like, well, that's not gonna work. So let's go directly to the actors and say, in order for this to work, I'm gonna need you at least 3 separate times. And for the girls, for Beanie and Caitlin, I mean, we had access to them and they were so excited to work. So that was a kind of constant flow for at least a month before we started shooting, the conversations and talking through the script. But with the rest of the cast, I made sure to have at least 3 rehearsals with each of them.
You mentioned having music on set, and I wanted to ask you, the music used in the film and the score is so fantastic and such a big part of the film. Did you have that in mind before shooting? Was that the type of stuff you were playing on set, or how did you approach music for the film?
Yeah, the soundtrack is pretty representative of what I was playing on set. I played a lot of hip hop on set. I played a lot of Lizzo on set. Yeah, and it was great because it was a lot of like introducing Lizzo to young women, which is the greatest gift you can give any human. But I was inspired by directors, like Wes Anderson, like Spike Jonze. The idea of like creating a vibe with music is something that's just a real helpful shortcut to getting everybody quite literally on the same rhythm. But yeah, that's basically the vibe. I mean, because of all the nights, there was a lot of high energy music, and I really tried to keep it on as kind of constantly as possible until we were ready to actually shoot. I think that was also, luckily, we had a crew that was able to work with loud music playing. Not everyone loves to do that, but that was the type of music. I mean, we were really lucky, obviously, to get a lot of these artists to give us their music, and a lot of people gave us deals because they wanted to be part of the film. Writing to James Murphy of LCD Sound System and describing that scene and sending him a clip and just like laying my heart out on the floor and saying it has to be that song. But everybody from, Alanis Morissette to Jurassic 5 to Perfume Genius, it was really, Salt and Peppa, there was such a huge range of artists. But I loved that process. That was something that, I directed music videos before this, and I knew that element of it. I love storytelling through music, and when we were cutting the pool scene, and just on a whim, I put on that Perfume Genius track, Slip Away, when she jumped in the water, and it matched so perfectly. That was like true serendipity. That was just meant to be. And other ones, it took, obviously, a little bit more time. Although I think the Anderson .Paak track was a perfect fit. Yeah. We put that on for the pizza scene. But yeah, I love music, and I just love the process. I think I could be a music supervisor. Like, this is the most fun element of the whole process. I just love it.
I've said this before, when I Shazammed so many songs on set that I had to go to premium.
So were there any, what were the big challenges in production, aside from the ticking clock? Were there any things, unexpected things that came along in the middle of the shoot that challenged you as a director or the production?
I mean, we had to be quite flexible while we were shooting when we realized certain things weren't working the way that we kind of thought they would. I mean, that's obviously par for the course when you're making anything, but for instance, the opening scene where the girls were dancing outside the apartment, that was originally written as a scene where they were driving to school having kind of a lengthy conversation in a car. And we shot that and knew almost immediately that wasn't the right opener. And suddenly I panicked about, I don't have an opening scene for the movie. And we had no time to kind of pause and slow down and reshoot the day. It was like, well, it's done, and I know that's not the opening scene. And Beanie and Caitlin just had this thing they did every time they saw each other, they would dance. And watching them one day, we were like, oh my God. So then it was just a matter of kind of buying an extra 40 minutes outside that apartment location to capture that dancing. So the challenges were not catastrophic. There was nothing like, oh, we lost a huge location. It was just about remaining flexible, kind of watching how things were naturally evolving and sort of being responsive to that in the moment. But we were very, very lucky because of the intense preparation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, shooting nights in the summer is a challenge because you forget.
Not enough nights.
A much shorter nights than it is other times. But everything that should have been hard was fun. Like that really, because of the preparation and also the people, like there were a lot of things that I think with another group of people or another scenario would have felt very challenging and instead only felt kind of challenging in the inspiring way.
So truly, when we were shooting the pool scene, we had 3 simultaneous units going at that moment. Because on the page, that pool scene was written to be it was simple. It was Amy jumped in the water, looked for Ryan, found Ryan when they got out of the water. So it wasn't necessarily scheduled to be that is significant of a scene, but I knew secretly that it would be, and I was hoping for that, and so in order to have the time to do that, we had to have the multiple units running, so I was running back and forth from the pool and inside the house, but as Katie said, it was because everybody was so on board with the mission that it didn't become, we didn't go completely insane.
So you shot last summer? Is that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I saw the Elizabeth Warren 2020 bumper sticker.
Yeah.
It's a recent shoot.
Exactly. Exactly. That's not CGI. Talking we knew.
Well, maybe.
Actually, we'll see. That's kind of funny. I think we thought it would just be like even if Elizabeth Warren didn't run, but
It's so funny.
This is what Amy would make for herself.
She would have put it on in 2017.
Yeah.
Why don't we open it up to the house? I'm sure people here have questions. Just raise your hand. Yeah, right there.
Olivia, was there anything you learned from playing a teenager in the OC as Alex that you brought into directing?
Deep cut. I will say though, like jokes aside, I feel that one thing about playing a queer character on television in 2004, 3, I don't even know, at that time it was sensational. Society was in a different place, and it was a big deal for a teenage love story between two women, and I have been approached by thousands of people since then who have told me that had an impact on their lives, people from all over the world. I had a guy stop me the other day on a plane. He's from Uganda, I grew up in Uganda, and he was like, the OC had a really big impact on my life. And I was like, this is crazy. We don't realize the impact of these stories. And to us, sometimes you can think you're just making a teen soap or a little indie, and you don't realize the power of storytelling and the impact it can have. So I will say, the lesson I learned from that experience was like, I take this role seriously. I take this job of storytelling seriously, particularly when talking about themes like sexuality. And it was one of the reasons I wanted to tell a story where we were kind of beyond where a lot of stories have stopped in terms of discussing sexuality and queerness. It's particularly for women. That we may tell a story that was about a love story that wasn't about Amy coming out. It was something kind of post that. So I do honestly think that being on the OC and that experience and kind of being shocked that it had that big of an impact did have an effect on how I decided to create this one.
Other questions?
I have.
Right there.
Next, congratulations, first of all. Could you talk a little bit about your editorial process? Just in terms of specifically from script to the finished product, what changed from where the script was until almost all?
Quite a lot changed. There was an entire near-death sequence that is no longer in there. It was very dark. We had a tremendous editor, Jamie Gross. She was a real partner, a creative ally and partner in telling the story, and she really helped kind of whittle down the story to what it was. We just had too much movie. I mean, as always, but this one truly we had enough for 4 whole movies. Somehow we shot enough in 26 days to make so many stories. But I will say, I think the core of it remained the same.
Yeah.
It was always a story about Molly and Amy and their relationship. And the stuff that ended up being lifted was either way too broad. There was another fantasy sequence that was pretty insane involving a human-sized panda. It'll be on some sort of DVD extras or whatever that is now. And then there was, this weird, dark, near-death experience, which was all like very well made by the actors and crew. But
it felt a lot like everyone did so well once what we had written to happen 2 or 3 times. Like there was a slimming of what had. It was another rewriting process. Like the edit is a real rewriting process, and the core, as we were saying, is there so well. But it was fun to dig in again.
There was also, like, because we had actors like Noah Galvin who plays George, he had given us so many amazing pieces of improv, and just so much gold that he was someone that we at one point had who took up like 40% of the film.
Yeah.
Just
Someone very kindly was like, "So you love George?"
You love George. But, you know, an interesting example of kind of the rewrite and the edit is the graduation scene. The graduation scene originally involved completely different speeches. And almost everything you hear in that graduation scene is ADR.
Yeah.
And it was because we realized that the lesson Molly learned was really that she had nothing to say. She was speechless for once. And we really wanted Jared's speech, Molly's original speech that Jared reads, we wanted it to be this like feminist manifesto, which was different than what we had originally written. So that was a major Frankenstein job, but I was so just delighted with where it ended up. I love it, but it was an interesting process of continuing to kind of lift major chunks of dialogue and replace with ADR.
Who had the question over here? Yeah, back there.
Congratulations for your film, beautiful. And how much was your budget?
I'm not allowed to say. I would be slaughtered.
And another question, what you did for your principal actor in the swimming pool? You use diving equipment, or she stayed long time in the swimming pool, swimming.
Yeah, the camera operator was on scuba with an underwater unit. We were really lucky we had James Cameron's underwater. Which was really cool, that's why it looks so beautiful. Yeah, but it was also, Caitlin Bieber somehow knows how to act underwater when she can't see anything. And all I did was make it a warm pool because I felt after years of being an actor in freezing cold pools, I will give this gift. Justice will be served.
Yeah, back there.
So as your directorial debut, it's amazing. What did you learn in this film that you're going to take to your next one?
I learned a few things. Most importantly, to stick to my guns and follow my instincts and really trust my gut, because there are sequences in there that I felt very strongly should be in there that aren't immediately obvious to a studio or executives who feel they're looking at it, and there's always going to be someone who says, well, this doesn't seem essential to the plot, it doesn't further the plot, therefore it's unnecessary, let's get rid of it. And only the filmmaker can really say, no, that is necessary, it's essential, I can't describe to you exactly why, but you have to trust me in the overall picture, the overall recipe, that spice will actually be essential. But the lesson I learned was to get really good at communicating my ideas, to become very, very clear about communicating my ideas, and to learn to speak the language of producers who are thinking about logistics, because that's what they have to do, and to say, like, I know this seems like it's going to be difficult, it's absolutely necessary for these reasons. And that's, I think, the greatest skill a director needs, communication in general, of course, but specifically when you run up against someone who doesn't quite understand why you need a stop-motion Barbie sequence, to explain it, that it's essential. But even, the driving scenes at the end, the kind of like the high-speed car chase stuff, that is literally done by the team who did Fast and Furious. The rig that they were on is the coolest thing in the world. I really wanted them to be whipped around in a way that would make it feel like a muscular action film. When I first pitched on this movie, I said I wanted it to be training day for high school films. And so I was not about to let up on my Fast and the Furious rig. But there's a process of learning exactly how to communicate those ideas, and that's part of the skill set that is required. But I think I've sharpened that now.
Yeah, down here in front.
How do you see the balance of directing and acting in your future now that you've directed this film?
I'm hooked. I love directing. It's the greatest job in the entire world. I think acting is therapy. It's catharsis. It's incredible. I love it so much. I hope I get to keep doing it. But directing is so gratifying and fulfilling. I think for me personally, what I've always loved most about being on sets is the collaboration. And I was kind of referring to it before, but there can be something very isolating about acting. I'm not someone who enjoys sitting alone and preparing quietly in a trailer. I like exchanging ideas. I like the kind of the collaborative process in general. I was about to say team sports, but I've never played a sport, but I like to watch them. But I think that for me, if someone asked me to act, I'd be really, really excited, and I think eventually would even be interested in acting in my own films if I could figure out how the hell people do that. But right now, I just feel so blessed to have the opportunity to direct, and I have so many stories I want to tell, so I want to keep doing it for a while.
I think we have time maybe for one more question. Yeah, back there. With the hat.
Did you make your husband audition?
Our whole relationship has been.
All right, one more. Another hat.
Yeah, so I'm a 55-year-old grandfather of 5, U.S. Air Force veteran with PTSD. Spent the last 7 years of my life making a